The key to our brownstone rattled in my trembling hand like a guilty confession, but the door swung open to silence. Cold, echoing silence, instead of Miles's usual bear hug and that lopsided grin. I dropped my suitcase in the foyer, the thud swallowed by the empty living room, and that's when I saw it. His tuxedo jacket slung over the armchair, still warm from his body, a wedding invitation peeking from the pocket like a scarlet letter. My stomach twisted as I snatched it up. Evan and Sophia's big day, Plaza Hotel, and bolted for the subway, heart hammering that this surprise homecoming from my Chicago client meetings was about to become the nightmare I never saw coming. I'd flown in early, 2 days ahead of schedule, because absence had carved a hollow in me these past weeks. Miles and I had built this life in Brooklyn like architects of our own American dream. The cozy Victorian we gutted and rebuilt with our own sweat. The rooftop garden where we'd set our vows under a harvest moon 5 years ago. The shared dreams of adopting someday, of growing old yelling at kids to get off our lawn. He was the steady one. The high school history teacher with calloused hands from coaching soccer and a laugh that could disarm a room. I was the ad exec always chasing the next pitch, the next city skyline. But lately, his texts had thinned to emojis and miss you, and I'd chalked it up to burnout. God, what a fool. The plaza loomed like a gilded fortress on Fifth Avenue, its doorman eyeing my travel-worn chinos and untucked shirt as I flashed the crumpled invite. Guest of Mr. Asher Hale, I lied through gritted teeth, pulse thundering in my ears. The grand ballroom was a whirlwind of tulle and twinkling lights, the air thick with lilies and the murmur of toasts. I wove through clusters of guests, old money types in silk gowns and pearl studs, scanning for that familiar shock of chestnut hair. And then, like a punch to the gut, there he was, Miles, resplendent in his tux, leaning into a laugh with him. Liam, my ex from college, the ghost I'd buried under therapy sessions and Miles's unwavering love. They were at a high-top table near the dance floor, arms brushing, Liam's hand lingering on Miles's forearm as he whispered something that made my husband, blush like a schoolboy. I froze, the world narrowing to that tableau. Liam Caldwell, Yale debate team captain, with his razor-sharp jaw and eyes like polished obsidian, the man who'd promised me forever in a dorm room haze of cheap wine and Dylan Thomas poems. We'd been electric, stolen kisses in the stacks, road trips down the eastern seaboard blasting Springsteen, until I found the texts. I can't do this anymore, Ash. It's not you, it's the lies I tell myself. He cheated with a straight-laced poli-sci major, shattered me into 1,000 jagged pieces, and vanished into a life of boardrooms and bourbon in D.C. I'd rebuilt in New York, met Miles at a pride rally in the Village, where his sign, "Love wins, even on rainy days," had been my lifeline. How the hell was he here, orbiting my world again? My feet moved before my brain caught up, propelled by a cocktail of rage and disbelief. The string quartet swelled into some Vivaldi ripoff, masking my approach until I was close enough to smell Miles's cologne. Sandalwood and regret. Miles? My voice sliced through the din, raw and ragged. He turned, slow as a man facing a firing squad, his hazel eyes widening in a flash of panic before settling into something worse. Guilt, thick and unyielding. Asher. The name hung between us, a noose tightening. Liam straightened, his smile faltering into a smirk that didn't reach those cold eyes. Well, this is unexpected. What the hell is this? I jabbed a finger at their proximity, the invite crumpling in my fist. Guests nearby pretended not to stare, but the whispers rippled like aftershocks. Miles stood, his chair scraping like nails on chalkboard, and reached for me. Instinct, maybe, or damage control. I jerked back, the rejection stinging us both. It's just a wedding, Ash. Evan from my old firm. He invited half of Manhattan. Miles's words tumbled out too fast, his Brooklyn accent thickening under stress. But his tie was askew, and there was a flush on his neck that had nothing to do with the open bar. With him, I spat, turning on Liam. You slither back after 10 years, and now you're cozying up to my husband? What? Scouting for your next conquest. Liam's laugh was a low, oily thing, the kind that echoed in empty lecture halls. Conquest? Come on, Asher. We're all adults here. Miles and I go way back, mutual friends, you know? Bumped into each other at a alumni mixer last month. No big conspiracy. But it was. I saw it in the way Miles wouldn't meet my gaze, in the subtle shift of his body away from me, toward Liam's orbit. The quartet faded into applause as the bride and groom took the floor, their first dance a mocking waltz of unity. I grabbed Miles's elbow, dragging him toward the shadowed alcove by the French doors, the city lights of Central Park mocking us through the glass. Tell me the truth. Now. He deflated against the velvet drapes, rubbing his face like he could scrub away the mess. It started innocent. The mixer. Liam was there, charming as ever. We talked about you, actually. How proud he was of the man you'd become. A bitter snort escaped me, but he pressed on, voice cracking. Then drinks turned into dinners. He gets it, Ash. The pressure of being the good gay. The teacher who can't slip, the husband who has to perform. You were always gone, chasing deals in LA, Chicago, God knows where. I felt invisible. Invisible? The word landed like a slap. I'd poured everything into us. Late nights drafting apologies in airport lounges, surprise weekends in the Hamptons. But there it was, the fracture line I'd ignored. My ambition, his quiet sacrifices. So you turned to him? The guy who cheated on me, who left me wondering if I was worth loving. Miles's eyes glistened, twin pools of regret. I didn't mean for it to go there. It was just talking, venting. But Liam, he sees the cracks. Says I deserve more than waiting around. And what do you deserve, Miles? A lifetime of what-ifs with a snake. My voice rose, drawing sidelong glances from a cluster of tipsy ants. Liam hovered at the edge of the alcove, feigning interest in his phone. But I knew better. He thrived on this chaos, the unraveling of what others built. The confrontation escalated as the night wore on, the wedding's joy curdling into our private hell. We retreated to a service elevator, the hum of cables underscoring Miles's halting confessions. Stolen afternoons in coffee shops, a kiss in Liam's sleek midtown apartment that didn't mean anything, promises of discretion that crumbled under the weight of old flames. Liam, ever the opportunist, had weaseled his way in with tales of my flaws, how I'd prioritized work over us, echoes of our college breakup twisted into ammunition, betrayal layered upon betrayal, each revelation a knife twist. I paced the cramped space, fists clenched, fighting the urge to swing at the man who'd vowed to have and hold, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. Why didn't you tell me? I finally whispered, sliding down the wall until I sat on the cold tile, knees to chest. Miles knelt before me, his tux pants pooling like surrender. We could have fixed it. Therapy. Time off. Anything. Fear, he admitted, voice a broken thread. Fear you'd see me as weak, as the guy who couldn't hack it alone. Tears carved tracks down his cheeks, and for a moment, I saw the boy I'd fallen for. Vulnerable, fierce, utterly human. But the ache in my chest was a chasm, swallowing the love we'd nurtured. Liam pounded on the elevator door then, his voice muffled silk. Everything all right in there? Security's asking questions. The intrusion snapped us back, a cruel reminder that our unraveling had an audience. We emerged into the lobby's hush, the wedding's crescendo fading behind us. I faced Liam under the rotunda's golden dome, the weight of a decade's ghosts pressing down. You win this round, Caldwell. But remember, I'm not the broken kid you left. And Miles? He's worth more than your scraps. Liam's smirk wavered, just a flicker, before he shrugged. Growth suits you, Asher. Call it karma. He sauntered off into the night, vanishing like smoke, but the damage lingered. Miles and I didn't speak on the cab ride home, the city blurring past in neon streaks. Brooklyn welcomed us with its familiar grit, the stoops lined with sleeping cats, the distant wail of sirens a urban lullaby. In our kitchen, under the hum of the fridge, we finally shattered. He wept apologies into my shoulder. I railed against the lies, the what-ifs that clawed at my throat. Dawn crept in, painting the walls peach, and we talked. Not as husbands in crisis, but as men stripped bare. I love you, Miles said at last, his hand finding mine across the scarred oak table. But I broke us. If you want out. No. The word surprised us both, born not from desperation but clarity. Love wasn't a fairy tale. It was this messy, bruised, demanding the work of two flawed souls. We'd call a counselor Monday, carve out space for the unspoken hurts. Liam? Catalyst, not the villain. He'd expose the rot, forcing us to rebuild stronger or walk away wiser. Weeks blurred into therapy marathons and tentative date nights. Picnics in Prospect Park, where we hashed out boundaries without the weight of expectation. The betrayal scarred us, a puckered line across our shared history, but it humanized us too. I quit the endless travel, negotiating remote pitches from our home office. Miles joined a support group for queer educators, finding voice in his vulnerabilities. And Liam? He faded to a LinkedIn ghost, his charm no match for our quiet resilience. One crisp October evening, as leaves skittered across the Brooklyn Bridge, Miles proposed a renewal. Not vows, but a pact. To us, he toasted with cheap Merlot on our rooftop, the skyline a testament to reinvention. The real us, cracks and all. I clinked my glass, the sound of fragile promise. To coming home, I replied, pulling him close. In America's vast tapestry of heartbreaks and comebacks, we'd chosen the harder path. Forgiveness, not as erasure, but as evolution. And in that choice, we found our way back to each other, not perfect but profoundly, achingly true.